This is a paper taffeta with lace and sort of a tunic, and this garment here and that garment there, the black one, are both neither. And that, of course, should be seen, but it's very well put in the garment, but it just hung better on her. She had two of those in different colors. And this is the earliest one that was donated to the museum. And I didn't remember that garment until I saw it again, but I do know who it was, you see, and she had quite a lot of clothes. She also donated coats and things like that.
I think so, yes.
Yes, that's right, yeah. And that's neither again, and that's a velvet, a kind of embossed velvet, and pure silk satin. So neither she really always chose something very simple, and she might even have bought the original ones from the collection, because I would show the original ones in London for about a fortnight, and she very often said, "But I can wear that tonight." But anyway, so I'd have to make a second one for the. But she had very simple clothes. That's another garment that I donated to the museum, which is a pure silk crepe, double crepe, and that was embroidered in London also. And that was one thing that Patricia didn't do, because I did that myself. This one here is, that's two dresses. Can you remember, Alex, what year that was?
The three dresses across the front here are all about 1967.
Yeah. So that's the one you saw. This one here, that's the one Lady Ross bought from me in 1967. And she came in with her husband, and she said to me, she tried it on. I didn't make it for her. It was in the collection at the same time as that one. I never sold that one. I decided to keep that for historic reasons. So now I've donated it to the museum. But she tried that on. That's actually embroidered on that pure silk organdy, and by Peter Swift. And when she tried it on, she said to her husband, "Darling," she said, "it's either this or the library curtains." So I won. But anyway, her daughter-in-law told me she got both. That's one of the garments that, these two garments there that Anne Heseltine gave to the museum. That one there and that one there, and there's another one down here. And that one there she wore to the White House in Washington.
And can I just say, Abe, I think that's from your very last collection.
It was, yes.
Yes, from the 94 spring collection.
But actually, she did have a pink satin skirt with that.
Yes.
But she lost it. So I made her another skirt there, which was great. But it actually had a pink satin on it. But it's just, actually, that's really just re-embroidered with the hem and the collar and the, but also it has to be done with that. These two dresses are Irish clients who have donated them to the museum. This is donated by Fenimore Moore, and this one here is donated by Norma Smurfett. They're both donated, and that was beading. That one was beaten in Ireland. That one was beaten in Ireland. This one here is pure silk organdy, and that has been lent by Gemma Moore. It's just giving you an idea of I mean, that was in 1975. Yes. And this one again is neither Pren. She was very high-shouldered, so the things hung very well on her, you see. And this is now the coat. I'm doing quickly because I don't want to waste your time, but if you have any questions, just ask. Just ask. That's the Irish tree, and that was in 1964. So you can see how the colour, and that was worn a lot. So that was the dress. We just wanted to put the texture together, you see. And that's like a boucle tweed with the drop shoulders, and that was completely lined in Persian land, and it was hand crochet button. That again is the one you saw, these two Nida Pens. It's so much in the museum, it's unbelievable. Yes, these two. So they're very, very simple. You can see my cut was always very simple. And she didn't need in real fur. So that's artificial fur. So I had to make that specially for her with artificial fur on it. It was a very broad shoulders. That was lent by Sonia Rogers, and that's a beaver collar. And also in a, that's not an Irish tweed. That's I think a tweed from France. It's a sort of this is a boucle tweed. And that was Phyllis McNamara. And this one here is a very hairy worsted flannel. It's a sort of double worsted flannel with a Persian lamb collar, and that was donated by my assistant. And these two are Irish tweeds. They're not necessarily the best of what I did, but we're having them here because they're Irish tweeds, and the buttons were made in London. You just sent them a piece of the tweed, and then they made the buttons to match. So I did a lot of that too, you see. But that was quite nice at the time it was done. Now it looks a bit old-fashioned. This one here is another boucle tweed that was embroidered in London around the waistline, slightly fuller skirt. This pink dress coat was also Nida Pen, and the collar of that and the buttons are made of a matching double crepe, pure silk crepe. And the center back, actually the back of that coat is more interesting than the front in my opinion, because it has also lots of four pleats at the back, and then the center panel is of the pure silk right around through from underneath the collar. And that was also from Nida Pens. That's a very old one of mine. I had my buckles made in London, and that is now from 1972, so that's quite old. And that's also in an Irish fabric at the time. And that's the dress you saw on the across the way. And so we made quite a lot of those because we made several things for London, and then we also made it for private clients here. This one here is also donated by Phyllis McNamara, which is again a double crepe, not a pure silk one. It's a double crepe with the applique. So because it's quite old, obviously it's slightly shrunk or whatever. And this was very much sort of a theatrical sort of ballet type dress I made, and that's lent to us by Kira Byrne, and she was at one time Rose Trellee, yes, and she married a man that financed it, and so she had a lot of dresses made of that kind of pretty sort of ballet type dresses at the time. So that was an embroidered paper taffeta, and then we had the pleating and whatever done so that it made sort of that. So that's quite old. That was made in 1982. This one here is completely covered in Patricia's, my structure, completely covered in Patricia's applique, and it's called Night and Day. And if you see, there's a mirror in there, you can see why it's called Night and Day. That's day on the right. So you might have another look at that. This wall, you see, is black and white. And that's another outfit there that was also embroidered in green embroidered.
Students are saying to me just now, why do they keep saying so much of this they'd like to wear now?
Yeah, so wearable.
Well, the thing was to see that I flatter myself that I was sort of, I made simple clothes. And a lot of them, you could wear some of these clothes today. I mean, you could, because they're very simple. The cut was very simple, and the fabrics were very good. Yes. I actually, I suppose that Balenciaga, of course, was a great force, but I didn't really make. I made clothes more like Givenchy, because he made very simple clothes. You've probably seen some of Audrey Hepburn's films where he made the clothes for her. They're very, very simple, beautiful fabrics. So some of the clothes you could wear today, I mean, the evening wear now, people don't wear evening wear anymore, really. Not this type of evening wear anyway, you know. But some of the clothes you could wear today.
And did you consciously sort of make a decision not to get heavily involved in trend and fashion as such at the time?
Well, I'll tell you what, I wasn't big enough.
That?
I wasn't big enough to be a trendsetter, you see, because, but I follow fashion of myself, and this is why I model myself. I suppose Givenchy was the nearest thing to what I liked in Paris, was because they were wearable, beautiful fabrics and the simplicity. But I wasn't big enough to be a trendsetter. You had to be really Paris or Italy, you know, to be trendsetters who could afford to actually make a look of each season, you see, like Givenchy or like Yves Saint Laurent, for example, you know. But so.
The beauty in your work is, as we were saying, is that you can see there's not a preoccupation with what's in trend so much. It's about the structure and.
It's about structure, and also,
fabric,
I suppose you can say.
I think they're works of art.
I saw myself as making also glamorous clothes that flattered women, you know. Yes.
That's what
rather
the concentration
than doing the hard thing on with women's bodies. You see, I flattered women's bodies. I felt myself, you know.
Yeah.
But then I always liked women anyway. So, so you don't see it there. It just hangs beautifully. You see, but that was on velvet. And so I think that's one of Patricia's sort of great design in sort of very elaborate things. Because I mean, that could also be worn today.
Absolutely.
It's the intricate, it's like filigree. It reminds you of something that you would see in the other museum. You know, it reminds you of something that you would see like of our ancient outfits. It's magnificent.
I think every girl in the class.
Anyway, I mean, if you saw that on the, I mean, I think it could be justified being at the Hollywood Oscars, you know, if you saw that there, except of course you have to be born naked.
But tiny little woman. So this is actually this is like a teen-size mannequin. It's not the rest of the mannequins are standard size 10, I think. But this is absolutely minute and had to be padded out. But as Ib said, I mean, it looks a bit creased with this paper tap. It creases very easily, and.
But also they don't use in conservation. They don't use iron. They only use steel. You see, so that's why paper tablet doesn't really get the credit it should have. But the thing is that it still looks. I mean, I haven't seen that, of course, since the wedding day.
Yes, and the mother of the bride also wore an evening dress by Eve as well for the wedding. And we could have had that for the exhibition, but we just didn't have room for it.
But if you look at this now here, you see that there's a lot of clothes that's not in the exhibition, but at least we have images of it, you see? Yeah. That's again a hand smart dress of the time. And that's this Willoughby again. And these are the two fabrics, you see here. And you can see that it's actually a very, very heavy figured organdy. But there it looks, because whatever I've mounted on, maybe I've mounted on Veline or something similar, or a very fine canvas to try and give it shape, you see. But that was just very simple. Very simple. So that's it really, and this is the one that's actually illustrated over here. That's the one there, and this is the other version of that was blue and green. And blue and green actually was the more successful. Blue and green, somehow people felt it was easier to wear with an Irish complexion rather than the orange and green. So I made several of those. I also made that for clients in London. I made several as mother of the brides with a simpler skirt. So that was very successful in its time. That's a very similar dress that was lost, which I told you about.
What material was the main one?
That was a chiffon.
Was it?
Chiffon. But underneath the chiffon was about 3 or 4 different organdy underskirts, also circular. Or double circular, you see. So you got that sort of thing. So that was all hand draped at the time. And I remember, because I used to drape it myself, and each little piece was then tacked onto on the structure of a bodice, you see, draped. And my staff hated those because it never seemed to be an end to it, because I was doing multiple other fittings as well of other clothes, and somehow I was always late trying to get the last piece in on that one, you see, but the skirt was already there. So anyway, but the skirt was not draped. The skirt was a pattern that was similar, you see, so that it always looked as if the skirt was equally draped, you see. That was inspired me to do it, because that was a pattern.
But were all of those in the 80s?
Right?
Were all these drawings in the 80s?
Yes, I think
89, I think they're all from the 1 year.
Yeah, they're all from the 1 year.
And
Yes.
they would have been done by a professional fashion illustrator.
Yes. She came to me and I could do sketches quite well, but I mean I couldn't do fashion illustration like that. I never developed that. But anyway, she came and she did. I think that was nine panels.
Yes.
And
yeah.
that
There might have
one
been a
there
couple more, I
actually
think.
was at the same time as Husni Mikhalia Stackpool, and that was a jacket for her, which was a knitted jacket. Yes, yeah.
You were saying earlier about architecture like that. Would you say that inspires you to go into dressmaking?
Which-
You were saying earlier that.
Well, I'll tell you what, my mother was very smart. She was a very fashion conscious woman. And she was always, even her youth, she was always very smart. And I think she probably inspired me to do it. And so I always had a feeling for drawings and decorating and doing flower arrangement and all that sort of thing. So I had a definite idea of how things should look and do. But I mean, I didn't start to make clothes until I went to the Garden Academy. I really hadn't a clue, but I was just attracted to the idea, and I said to myself, but if it doesn't work, I'll do something else. But the thing is, it worked for me. And so I became quite passionate about fabrics and style and making, and also it's very interesting to meet people all the time from different, I mean, I have clients now that might order 2 or 3 a year, and I have clients that order 1 every 8 years. So in other words, people that could afford to buy more, but the people came to me for quality and the making and the fabric. You see, whether they can only order 1 suit every 4 or 5 years, or whether they bought from the collection. Like Nida Pren would probably buy about 6 each season. That's why she ended up having so many.
We might just say about Nida Pren's monthly spending money. She told me that she her kind of money for lunch and makeup.
Well, I tell you what, she was a bit hard up, because I told you that they're very wealthy, but she got 10,000 a month to spend on herself, and that did not include housekeeping. So you can just but a lot of that she also spent. She also came and bought paintings for me because I ran the gallery at the same time the last 5 years before it closed, and she came over and she bought a couple of paintings from me, and she bought that out of her allocation, monthly allocation. But that's the sort of thing one should really talk about, because that is almost dirty to talk about that sort of money, huge money.
But they were the founders. Oliver and Nigel Penn were the founders of the Turner Art Prize, so they were hugely philanthropic and
They were.
very
But then
involved
they
in the art
stopped
world.
it after 5 years when they thought it had gone a bit up. They just sort of got too berserk. But also, I mean, for example, now they sponsored many things from museums apart from paintings. They would sponsor seatings and all that sort of thing for new museums if they didn't get a painting or whatever, you see. But I mean, they were very philanthropic. I mean, they would really spend money, and also they were very nice people. They were lovely people. Yeah? I mean, in a sense, their home was not huge. It was a very pleasant home, but I mean, it was a lived-in home. Although one wall was just one painting, as you can imagine, because they were very much into modern art, very much. Yeah.